Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anjeanette Gonzaga. Today we're going to discuss about the topic, the selection of civil engineer. We all know civil engineering innovation have a greatest impact on the quality of human life. Civil engineer make a powerful building in other pivotal facilities which can make our life better. So this is our objective. First is the basis for selection. Second is the client selection committee. Third, in qualification-based selection or QBS procedure. Basis for selection. In basis for selection, the primary move for a client in selecting an engineers is to define the scope of works in the project. The client determines performance requirements. There are some of factors that should be considered in the selection process. Number 1. The professional and ethical reputation of the civil engineer and his staff as determined by inquiries to previous clients and others' references. In short, reputation of the civil engineers as referred by the previous clients. How do civil engineers guide the clients? At first, they will provide a detailed evaluation about the land of construction, which is the most basic factors in civil engineering field. Then, the safety standards and other mandatory terms are evaluation before drafting the construction plan. Number 2. Responsible civil engineers and its employee and must be registered professional civil engineers. In short, validity of registration from PRC or the Profession Regulation Commission. What is the responsibilities of a registered engineer to the profession? Obligation to profession as a civil engineer should always work to advance the integrity and reputation of the profession consistent with public interest. Also, engineers should, as appropriate, provide public knowledge of the profession in an environment that encourages ethical practice of engineering. Number 3. Civil engineers should have demonstrate qualification and expertise performing the service required for the project. Example of qualification and expertise in performing services in engineer, you will need analytical thinking, math knowledge, excellent vocal communication skills, knowledge of building and construction, and etc. Number 4. Civil engineers should be able to assign qualified engineering staff who will be in responsible charge of the project and will be able to provide and complete the required services within the time allotted. In short, assigning responsibility for project team members boosts efficiency. Having a clear understanding of project rules allows the leader to develop a timeline. Assigning rules also enables members to get a better idea of which members are working on closely related to tasks. Number 5. The civil engineer should have the necessary financial and business resources to accomplish the assignment and provide continuing service. Because managing has expansion in civil engineering because building object is one of the most creative human activity. Management and managers are essential to building companies as well as to economy and society. Company cannot be related successfully without them. So, mas importante jud nga in civil engineer, you should have the necessary financial and business resources to accomplish the assignment. So, comment below on your own opinion, what is the important factor to consider in selecting a civil engineer. Next is the client selection committee. Within the client's organization, there should be an established administrative policy for designing the person authorized to select or recommend selection of civil engineers for specific assignments. The person appointed should be familiar with the project requirements and should be kept free on internal or external pressure during the selection. One satisfactory procedure is to utilize a selection committee of 3 or more individuals at least one of whom is a professional engineer of the appropriate discipline. The client selection strategy defines how clients are added from the application case to the product delivery created as a result of authorization of a program. If a product delivery type is specified, a client selection strategy must be selected. Why is client selection is important? Increase clients' retention and therefore probability and value of the firm increases staff satisfaction. As they also build relationship with clients, increases efficiencies. The firm and its clients know each other, system and the methods how to work together tends to be more professionally satisfying. Comment below how do you select clients as a civil engineer. Next is the qualification-based selection or QBS procedure. The selection procedure is considerably enhanced when the client is fully familiar with the purpose and nature of the proposed project, can be described the project in detail, and can prepare a project scope and outline of services expected of the civil engineer. In some cases, the clients may not have professional staff available to define the project scope and describe the required services. The client should still be familiar enough with the project requirements to consider what is expected of the civil engineer. The selection procedure, however, can be modified to suit the circumstances. Why are designers selected using qualification-based selection? Using QBS, owners have the opportunity to fully define the project scope. During the selection process, this process fosters innovative cost-saving and time-saving approaches to problems, ensuring that the final project meets or exceeds the functional and performances the goals set by the owner. QBS also help the small firms compete by providing a forum to demonstrate their unique capabilities that often include a greater degree of the niche market expertise, knowledge of local regulation and business practices, and greater involvement of senior level management in the execution of a project. Under the QBS method, the procuring agency reviews the qualifications submitted by interested individuals and firms, ranks respondents, and then negotiates with the most qualified respondent for a mutually agreeable contract. Next, the clients usually step in the selection procedure are presented below. If the client has had unsatisfactory experience with one or more civil engineers, it may not be necessary to follow all of the steps outlined. Number 1. By invitation or by public notice, state the general nature of the project, the services required, and request statements of qualification and experience from civil engineers who appears to be capable of meeting the project requirements. The clients may issue a request for qualification or RFQ or request for proposal or RFP. RFQ for normally used to ascertain the general qualification in a selected area or expertise, while RFP are used to seek civil engineers for creating a short list for selecting a civil engineer for a specific project. So in the number 1, it shows the statement of general nature of project, service required, request statement, and CE qualification and experience. So what is the difference between RFQ and RFP? RFQ, request for qualification, request for general qualification in a selected area of expertise, while the RFP, request for proposal shortlist for selecting civil engineer for a specific project. Number 2. Prepare a budget for the staff time and cost that can be expected from potential civil engineer prior to receipt of the RFQ or RFP. In short, prepare a expected budget from the potential civil engineer. Number 3. Evaluate the statements of qualification, receive, select, at least 3 civil engineers for firms that may appear to be best qualified for the specific project. Example of typical services offered by civil engineers or civil engineering firms including feasibility studies, civil engineering design, structural design, preparation of tender or contracts, documents, and supervision of construction works, and etc. Number 4. Write a letter to each civil engineer or selected for further consideration describing the proposed project in detail, including a project scope and outline of services required, and asking for a proposal describing in detail in civil engineer's plan for managing and performing the required services. The personnel to be assigned, the proposed schedule, experience with similar projects, office location in which services are to be performed, financial standing, percent workload, and references. In short, corresponding with the chosen engineers, first describe the project in detail including the scope of the project and service required, and proposal for the engineers to describe the plan for managing, plan for performing the required services, assign personnel, proposed schedule, experience with similar project, office location where services will be performed, financial standing, present workload, and references. Each civil engineer or firm should be given the opportunity to visit the site, review data, and obtain clarification of any required items. Number 5. On receipt of proposal, invite the civil engineer or firm to meet individually with the selection committee for interviews and discussion of the desired end result of the project and the engineering service required. Number 6. Check recent clients of each civil engineer or firm to determine the quality of their performance. This check need not be limited to references listed by the civil engineer. So why quality control is important in engineering firms? Quality control is important because it is the foundation of your project success. When we provide advanced planning and set quality standards early on, we reduce the risk making costly mistake once construction begins. Focusing on quality control also improve the safety of our project. Number 7. List the civil engineer or firms in the order of preference, taking into account their approach and understanding of the project, reputation, experience, financial standing, size, personnel available, quality of references, workload, location, and other factors pertinent to the project being considered. Number 8. Invite the civil engineer considered to be the best qualified to develop a detailed scope, list of deliverables and schedules, and to negotiate fair compensation of the services. Number 9. The compensation proposed by the civil engineer should be evaluated on the basis of the client's experience and budget estimate, taking account of the range or charges reported in Section 4, herein giving consideration to the project special characteristic and the scope of services agreed upon. In short, the engineer proposed compensation should be taken into the account. Number 10. If satisfactory agreement is not reached with the first civil engineer, the negotiation should be terminated and civil engineer or firm be notified in writing to that effect. In short, if negotiation fail, inform the first civil engineer or firm through writing about termination of negotiation, and then proceed to the second engineer. And then last, number 11, When agreement has been reached on scope, schedule, and compensation, the client and selected civil engineer should formalize their agreement in a written contract. In short, when agreement or the scope, schedule, and composition has been reached, a written contract is finalized. So that's all my report about the selection of civil engineer. I hope you have learned, and that's all. Thank you.